Most people believe that getting rich requires an absurd income, a brilliant idea, or an opportunity that only comes along for a select few. But there's a silent truth that almost no one talks about. You don't need to start big. You just need to start right. And that's exactly where a rule too simple to ignore comes in, yet powerful enough to put anyone on the path to their first 100,000 reais. And before you think I'm exaggerating, stick with me until the end, because what I'm about to show you has literally changed the financial destiny of ordinary people who earned little but applied this consistently. And when you understand why this rule works regardless of your income, your job, or where you live, everything you think about money will change. The truth is, the first 100,000 reais isn't about numbers, it's about behavior. It's the watershed moment between those who are constantly putting out fires and those who finally get into the game of building wealth. And it's curious, because those who have already reached this milestone often repeat the same phrase. It was difficult at first, but then it became inevitable. It sounds cliché, but there's a mathematical and psychological reason for it, and you're about to understand it. Imagine there's a specific point, almost a threshold, where money stops demanding effort and starts working for you. That's when your assets take on some of the burden that was previously entirely your responsibility. Before 100,000 reais, every real depends on your energy. After that, every real starts generating new reals. And that changes everything, because from that point on, time starts working in your favor, not against you. But why specifically 100,000 reals? Because that's the amount at which the snowball starts gaining enough mass to spin on its own, accelerating over time. But here's the detail nobody tells you. This number isn't magical in itself. What makes it powerful is the rule that leads you to it. A rule so simple that many people underestimate it and end up stagnating for years. The rule is, transform a portion of your incoming money into something that continues to work even while you sleep. It doesn't matter if it's a small amount. The secret isn't how much you put in, but how often you put it in and for how long you maintain it. And this is where the turning point comes in that separates those who succeed from those who never leave the same place. Because when you take 10%, 15%, or 20% of what you earn and turn it into automatic investment, you create a behavior that moves you toward wealth even in bad months. Even when you think it makes no difference, even when it seems too slow. It's like planting. The seed doesn't sprout on the first day, but those who keep watering inevitably harvest. The problem is that most people give up before the harvest because they want results too quickly. And the faster you want it, the harder it seems. And maybe you're thinking, but I don't earn much. This won't work for me. It does work, because what builds the first 100,000 reais isn't the size of the investment, but the sum of habit plus time plus consistency. These are three pillars that seem small individually, but together they build something gigantic. And the most interesting thing is that these pillars don't depend on a high salary. They only depend on commitment. And commitment is something anyone can have. Now let's get to the point where many people get lost. How to transform this simple rule into a real plan. This is where things get interesting, because when you understand that money is a system, not a lottery, you start playing in a completely different way. The rule is simple. You set aside a fixed percentage of what you earn before spending it on anything else and direct that amount towards something that appreciates over time. It could be fixed income, stocks, real estate investment trusts. It could even be a business or a skill that makes you earn more. The specific instrument changes, but the principle is always the same: money that generates money. And here comes the first crucial psychological hook. You create a pact with yourself, a pact to keep going even when it seems pointless. Because that's what most people don't do. They start, but they stop halfway. And stopping halfway is the difference between a life of eternal racing and a life where your wealth finally starts to feed you. When you follow the rule without fail, the result ceases to be a possibility and becomes a consequence. But the road to success is never without obstacles. And the biggest one, the greatest enemy of that first 100,000 reals, is the desire for instant gratification. People want quick returns. They want to prove to themselves that it works. They want to see results before they even start. And this makes them easy prey for financial illusions, promises of easy money, and shortcuts that don't exist. Meanwhile, those who follow the silent, consistent, and unhurried process get ahead. Not because they invested more, but because they invested correctly.
And the most curious thing is that these people don't seem rich at the beginning. They just seem organized. The wealth appears later. And there's a specific moment, a turning point, where everything changes emotionally. It's when you realize that the money is growing in months when you haven't touched anything. It's when you see that interest has really started to appear. It's when you understand for the first time that wealth doesn't come from your daily effort, but from the accumulated effort of years. This is the moment when everything becomes lighter, when you finally understand why so many experts insist so much on consistency. Because it is consistency that activates the automatic phase of the process. And now comes the most important part. How do you start this today? And the answer is straightforward. You choose the percentage and block the temptation to change it. Because it's not the percentage that changes your life, it's the habit. If you start with 5%, great. If you start with 10%, perfect. If you start with 20%, even better. The amount doesn't matter. The beginning matters. And if you're still here with me, it's because this idea has resonated with you in some way. Maybe you're tired of feeling like you're working and not getting anywhere. Maybe you've realized that time is passing too quickly to keep leaving money on the table. Maybe you're at that point in life where you know you need a plan. And here it is. Simple, lean, realistic, proven, and achievable for anyone who decides to implement it. And here's the final truth, which may be harsh, but needs to be said. No one will build your wealth for you. No one will give you the financial life you want, but you can create it with small, silent daily decisions that seem insignificant today, but that build something gigantic tomorrow. That's how you reach your first 100,000 reals. Not by rushing, not by taking shortcuts, not by luck, but with a system that works, applied with discipline. And if you want me to continue bringing you videos with this level of depth, click like, subscribe to the channel, and comment below, what percentage will you start investing from today? 5%, 10%, or 20%? I want to know, because your answer is the first step in your financial turnaround. Let's build this together.